My name is Iwona Dudek. I am a senior researcher in the French National Center for Scientific Research, and I will talk to you about the MEMORIA project. This project is not about archaeology, it's more about epistemology. It is conducted entirely in our lab with some financial help from the Ministry of Culture. I don't know how about you, but in our laboratory, in our research unit, we already started to question our capacity to preserve and explain research processes on the long term, and what is even more problematic, to ensure the verifiability and reproducibility of our work. And when you are a researcher, it poses a problem, and a serious problem. So that's why we came with an idea to develop something, to develop the experimental information system that will help us to describe and compare and analyze our working methods. And what is more, it would be interesting to observe the evolution of our working methods. So my presentation will be constructed in a very simple way. First, I will present you the case study. Then I will mention some basic fundamental concepts of our information system. And then, using a case study example, I will talk about the methods. So the case study was the study of evolution of the old town hall in Krakow. This old town hall was placed in the center of the Krakow. Now at this place, you have only a belfry and some underground structures, partially used by restaurant. But until 1820, all this corner was filled with some edifices, buildings, and municipal ones. We've been studying this evolution of this subject since the 13th century until now. And between 1997 and year 2000, quite a long time ago, we've produced this series of 3D models that were representing the most important moments in the evolution of this object. So now, at this moment, what's left from this study? We have some obsolete files, MEA files for the models. We have some snapshots. We have some articles, some presentation. What's left? Can you say now something more about the production or process of this output? How did it work? Our idea is to present the way this one. This is the process of production of the 3D models representing these virtual reconstructions. How does it work? First, I will say something about the basic concepts of our information system. Here we have a schematic presentation of the relation of the most important elements. I will talk about all of them. I will only mention the few ones, the more important. The first is the output. The output is simply a result of the work. It might be digital one, it might be a paper one, it might be whatever. It might be simple document, set of documents. This is the output, something that you want to document, and we can document it through the process. The process is a set of activities that were mobilized to produce it. An activity is a sort of elementary unit of our system. I will show you how does it work for our laboratory. Through the elicitation of knowledge, we have identified 263 activities of our laboratory. We have structured them, defined, and divided into 5 groups. 5 groups that correspond to different moments in the study. It is data collection, data filtering and treatment, data analysis, a group that we called added value procedural activities. If someone has a better idea, welcome, and finalization. Inside each group of activities, All these elements are organized in sort of hierarchical manner, starting from the most general to the more particular ones. Each activity can be described by a set of parameters, descriptors. For example, in this case, we may have a camera position, camera type, photo shooting techniques, etc. The green dots are just values that you can select. So if you want to document an output and describe the process that led to its production, you have to start with selecting the activities. We simply have to say, I've done this, and this. Then when we have them, imagine that these white dots are activities, we can organize them. If we know the order of activities, first, second, we can make a chain of activities. If we don't know, it's better to leave them as disordered ensemble of activities. But we may deal also with lots of activities that are done more or less in the same time, but they influence each other. It might be parallel activities, and we deal with iterative activities or repetitive ones. Regardless the structure of the process, we may attach to it some other information. The most important is another process, other preceding processes. This way we may construct a net of processes that might be useful later on in analysis. Within a process, each activity keeps a track of information like objectives, people who are involved in this particular activity, organization, primary sources that we've used, duration of the activity, all the technical information about tools, instruments, softwares that have been used. So let's come back to our case study. These are the activities we've selected for to describe the production of this output. So first of all, we select them, then we have to organize them and describe. Of course, while describing, we modify the structure of the object. What can we do with this? We can read it from left to right. I'll show you how. We can analyze it, and we can compare different processes. So here you have the first part. It's not surprising: data collection and acquisition, gathering primary sources, gathering secondary sources, like photographing survey. This element is in the beginning. This part, it's data analysis. We have here traduction, we have cognitive autos assessment, etc. And this part, the repetitive one, there are also lots of recurrent iterative elements. This is simply modeling process. So when we finish with organizing and describing each activity, all this data are stored in database. It's not just a scheme like this. This is only the mean to think, to help us thinking visually. So we can read it, and we can try to analyze it. We may make an abstraction of the particular activity, think by groups, wherever we can find some patterns. We may look group by group. We may observe it, try to find something that is particular. We may select several groups. We may try to find the predominant group of activities. In this case, it's data filtering. We may study the level of recurrences inside the process. The more darker the dot is, the more recurrent activity is. But it is only one process. We can ask the same question and show it differently. Here, to the left, you have a total number of activities. In the middle, you have only the activities that are repetitive, and later on, iterative ones. We can easily notice that not all of them are repetitive. Some are only repetitive, some are not at all. So this is the manner to think about it. And if we've done it with one, we can compare it with other processes. So you have different processes, and you may notice that there are some particularities, some differences, but you have to know what it represents and want to learn something from this. See, there are some processes that are not iterative at all. Here we have predominant groups of activities for those four processes. They are not the same. The basic idea behind our project is that behind the output that we want to describe, that we want to be accessible, there is a need inside the scientific community for the means to ensure verifiability, reproducibility, and comparability of our research processes. At least it is our idea, and we are trying to move towards this objective by developing this experimental information system that is supposed to help us with description, structuring, sustainability, and analysis of our methods of work. Our information system is partially ready, but still we need to make a full-scale implementation of web interface. Then we'll populate it with our case studies, and we'll try to evaluate whether it works or not. Thank you very much.